What's up? A to Z Sports Live on a Thursday. Hope everybody is having a great start to their Thursday morning. We're here to make it better. Talking Titans again as Treylon Burks spoke for the first time since his introductory press conference after he was taken in the first round of the NFL draft, now over a month ago. But he's gone through several practices, rookie mini camps, a couple OTAs with the veterans where the media has been out there, and he has not talked up until yesterday, June 1st, about some issues that we've all been talking about with his conditioning, the inhaler, everything. So Treylon Burks did address the media. He was questioned about that. We'll play some of the video from Treylon Burks' answers to the media about that going on. But I was at practice yesterday, and in my opinion, I saw positive progress from the Titans' first-round pick on the field. So we'll talk through that. We'll play also some cut-ups of Treylon Burks in his day at practice. We'll ask you guys, how do you think he did with answering questions about his conditioning yesterday? And then I also have one Titans rookie who looks to be separating himself from the rest of the draft class in a good way. So we'll talk about that and rookie immediate, impact as well. And then we'll do the magic bucket as we do every Thursday morning to wrap up the show. Zach, welcome, and hope your Thursday's off to a good start.
Yep, it's rocking and rolling, and we will get to a Titans Thursday and our topics here soon enough. But first, we are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and we will tweet out the YouTube links out there on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports. That's the easiest way to get our content as we do live shows in the morning. We've got a ton of YouTube videos that we'll be tweeting out. If you subscribe, you can go on our page and actually watch them. And so this is where we got you covered. This is I've been teasing you over the last several months on reasons why you guys need to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now it's all starting to come to fruition. And it's even more through the month of June. And when training camp starts, you're going to be wanting to lock in to that subscription on our YouTube page. Facebook, what's going on, Facebookers, the real OGs, bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. Sharing is caring and caring is sharing. More people are going to be piling in over the next 5 to 10 minutes for this morning show on a Titans Thursday as we discuss. And as you guys do, we need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. So share the show around. We're climbing up close to 100K followers. We appreciate everybody that interacts with us on Facebook and on YouTube. So without further ado, let's get this party started on a Titans Thursday.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media as we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can find the links to the show on our Twitter account, also on our Instagram stories. Make sure you follow us on TikTok as well as we put out content from all these Titans practices. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out you guys with Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by going to see them in Lebanon or simply at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. We've also got the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care, plus Farm Bureau health plans. Get better with Farm Bureau health plans. That's better coverage, better rates, better service. Learn more about a plan for you at fbhp.com/ATOZ. So, Zach, we'll talk a lot about Treylon Burks and his meeting with the media. Meeting with the media yesterday after Titans OTAs. So just to lay out the scope of what the summer is going to be, next Tuesday there will be another OTA period. Then the following week, there'll be 3 days of mandatory mini camp where we should see a lot of guys coming back because still a lot of big name players, big contract players, both on offense and defense, not at Titans practice. Lawan was not there. Derrick Henry was not there. No Nate Davis on the defensive side. No Harold Landry, no Bud Dupree, no Jeffrey Simmons, no Zach Cunningham, no Danico Autry. Kevin Byard was back after missing last week. So that's kind of who was not there at Titans OTAs yesterday. But Treylon Burks, in my opinion, Zach, made positive progress. And what I mean by that is I'm seeing a step forward. I don't think he's there yet. If the Titans played tomorrow or on Sunday, June 5th, which they're not, then I don't know how much Treylon Burks would be able to help this football team in a game. He's just not close to being ready to be able to help them in a game. I don't know how many guys would be able to help in a game right now because it is June 2nd. But I do.
Well, with all the guys you said missing from practice, it would be a tough game.
Right. So, but Treylon Burks, I saw positive progress. And so what we'll do real quick is I'll just play about 45 seconds of Treylon Burks going through some drills, and we'll talk about what this means, especially in the middle of this video where you see a drill happening and Treylon Burks not participating in the drill. But here's the clip from yesterday. So that was all of the individual reps and the individual drills that the Titans wide receivers did. And unfortunately, we could not play the audio from that because one of my favorite rap songs from Lil Boozy was in the background. So we didn't want Facebook to snipe us there. So that's all Treylon Burks did in wide receiver individual drills yesterday. So they did 3 total drills that really resulted in 5 total reps. So you saw Treylon Burks go through both of the shoot drills where he comes out of his stance, looking explosive, and then runs around, catch the ball. He skipped the drill with the cones where you kind of X back and forth and then catch a pass. And then he finished off with the physical drill of punching through the pad there at the end, which they only did 1 time per player. So Zach, here's my thought on positive progress. 1, I thought Burks looked explosive coming out of his stance under the shoot. I loved what I saw from there from Treylon Burks. Then he continued to participate in those drills without huffing and puffing or seeming like he was out of breath. Now, on the drills that he skipped, at the same time each direction is when he skipped that drill. And it was when Dez Fitzpatrick started his rep. So to me, I feel like my takeaway from knowing how Mike Vrabel goes through and has a plan for every player throughout the summer is that Treylon Burks was never supposed to participate in that drill because he skipped ahead to the other side of the field at the same time when Dez Fitzpatrick was going through his rep. So I'm taking that away is that Burks, his plan was to not do that specific drill for whatever type of reason, because he continued to come back and participate later on in individual drill with the last drill they did. And he also was out there several times throughout the rest of practice with 7-on-7, with 11-on-11, whatever it might have been. Treylon Burks took part in nearly every period of practice after individual. So that's where I see the positive progress from Burks.
Well, I think the interesting thing about a rookie skill player coming into practice, and I've seen a lot of practice being covered the team since, hell, Vince Young was the quarterback and Kerry Collins. When you have a young rookie that comes in, you know, it's different than what we saw from Julio Jones last year or what we didn't see from Julio Jones, because veteran guys don't participate as much. They never have, and they never will. And especially as we get further and further along in the era of football, that is, we don't want to practice, we just want to play. But rookies are different because Treylon Burks has to do a couple of things. First and foremost, he has to integrate his mind to what the offense does, right? I mean, this is not college anymore. We talk about Malik Willis and, you know, Hugh Freeze throwing up, you know, the LeBron James face and crying emojis to run a play. Well, this is big boy football. They don't have that anymore. Treylon Burks is very similar. You don't have the college aspect of the offense. So that's one hurdle you have to get through. We've seen the second hurdle, which is conditioning. The NFL takes you through a lot different program than they do in college. There's no coddling. This is your job. Now, coddling in the sense of they will help and they'll pull you back if they don't think that you're ready, because if you get hurt, that's a setback. You are an asset to every individual franchise, and especially Burks with the pressure that is on him because of the A.J. Brown trade. But, when Burks comes in here fresh in the first few weeks of his Titans existence, you want to see that he is sharp and that he can do the drills and that he is that leader that you drafted him to be. But more times than not, that's never really the case. There's always that learning process. And I think we've seen that in the last couple of weeks, the learning process. It does sound from what you have told and said from your eyes and from what I've seen to the other media members at practice, the word is progress. Now, it could be a little progress. It could be a lot of progress. But Burks does seem that he is making progress to get closer to where he needs to be. And let's face it, where he needs to be is being able to play in a full NFL football game as a rookie week 1 against the New York Football Giants. It's not June 2nd or July 23rd or even August 15th. That doesn't matter as much as week 1 because of what they're going to ask him to do because of the structure of their roster and their offense this year.
And here's my thing about Treylon Burks and being out of shape, because the fact is Treylon Burks has been and reported to Titans rookie minicamp out of shape. We can't get around that. And why that's disappointing to me and to others who view it that way is because you don't expect him to be in game shape in May and in June, but you expect him to be in a good position to naturally progress to be where they need to be in September. And so if you don't want to be too far behind, you want to be in earshot or in that area where you can get to where you need to be and actually be within shot of doing that. And it felt like, compared to every other Titan under the roster, it felt like Treylon Burks was way behind everybody else when it came to his conditioning.
Well, it's simple. Were you prepared? Right. You can and the answer was no. Treylon Burks was not prepared to be a professional. The expectation is not for him to be a professional, but to be prepared to be a professional is different. It's like in life. Are you prepared to do the work that is necessary? Are you prepared for this show? We prepare. We don't come in here, and you've heard me say it before, we're not old radio that sit there and say, hey, guys, what you guys want to talk about? The lines are open. The chat is open. What do you guys want to talk about, Burks or Downing? Or that's not how we run. That we are prepared. We pride ourselves on preparation. And so to see Treylon Burks, a guy who's making millions of dollars, he already signed his rookie contract. He gets drafted in the first round. He's going to be the replacement of A.J. Brown, who is the second best offensive weapon in this offense. And then all of a sudden you show up out of shape. Bro, you can't do that. Well, that's why I say, here's the best part about this. And I want to say this. The Tennessee Titans have the reigning coach of the year, correct? Mike Vrabel.
Yes.
If there's one man, and there's a couple, I think Mike Tomlin is probably in this bucket. There's a couple other coaches that will make sure that you never show up to practice unprepared or as unprepared as Treylon Burks was on day one.
Yeah, and I'll say this, because Robert Woods mentioned this yesterday too, that he says that in the building, when they're not practicing or lifting weights, whenever they're in the building, Treylon Burks is on the hot seat, as Robert Woods put it, because he is just getting questions from coaches, from teammates, about the scheme, about his role, about they're just peppering him with pop quiz.
It's not about
left,
weight.
right.
It's
No.
where do you have to go on this route when it's 3rd and 6, right? Like I mean, I can't imagine being a first round rookie with all this pressure on him. I really can't, because you're trying to be the possibly the next face of this franchise. Malik Willis doesn't have the same type of pressure because of Ryan Tannehill being on the roster, right?
Yeah.
Derrick Henry doesn't have the same type of pressure because that dude's been a 2,000-yard rusher.
Yeah.
Treylon Burks has the pressure because he doesn't know what to do because he's just starting, right?
Right. Now, Paul says it's like showing up to your first day of work 30 minutes late. I'll add to it, Paul. It's like showing up to your first day of work 30 minutes late, having a hangover, and having to go home early.
Because you don't feel real well.
Yeah, that's what it is, right? Because you've been, celebrating your first round draft pick or celebrating your new job or whatever it might be. When it's time to come to do the work, you got to be able to do the work because that's what they're paying you to do. So with all of that, I do think positive progress was shown yesterday, that he was able to contribute throughout the entire practice. Not once did Treylon Burks go inside during practice. And I'll say this, it was hot yesterday. I was out there. It was hot yesterday in the 90s. Last week when he went inside a couple times, it was 60 degrees, right? So it was hot out there yesterday, and he was able to work through and contribute throughout all periods of practice. And then after practice, Treylon Burks spoke to the media for the first time. We'll play that video here in a second and pick apart how we thought he handled answering those questions. So quickly, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, know who to go to, know who to trust. Injuries happen, unfortunately, but they happen. You don't expect them. You don't plan for that to happen, but you can be prepared and know where to turn when it does. That's boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. Download the app today. They are the king of the sports books, and the NBA Finals are tonight, baby. Finally, the long-awaited Game 1. Celtics, Warriors. Look, I don't like either team, but I'm going to watch every second of every game of this series because I love NBA basketball, and I think it's going to be good. You can win some money if you're a new user at BetMGM. Use the promo code ATOZ200, all one word, no spaces. For that promo code, you get a $10 moneyline wager on the NBA Finals. It wins you $200 if either team hits a three-pointer. Let me add, the Golden State Warriors are playing in the NBA Finals. A three is going to be had. So this is literally for new users. Here's $200. ATOZ200. It's a special promo code for the finals. All one word, ATOZ200. $10 money line wager on the NBA Finals wins you $200 for new users if either team hits a three-pointer. Download the app today.
All right, time to get to Treylon Burks and how he answered questions from the media. We'll ask you guys a question about Treylon Burks' performance and his media availability after practice. But here's about 43 seconds of what Burks had to say, answering specifically about his conditioning concerns after practice on Wednesday.
I just say, every player, they come into situations differently, and I just, going to attack it every day like I have been, and just keep going with the flow.
Has it been kind of like a ramp-up process as far as like starting from day one to now?
No, sir. I'm just taking it one day at a time, like Coach Rabel tells me, and everything else will take care of itself.
Would the conditioning level kind of been where you thought it would be, or where you want it to be?
It differs every now and then, but I'm just taking it one day at a time, and just playing ball.
You had an inhaler out here the first day. Is that an allergy thing? You have asthma?
Well, I'll just keep that in-house, and, just y'all can ask Coach Vrabel about that.
So, Kayla Anderson asked Mike Vrabel about the inhaler because Treylon told us to yesterday, and Vrabel said, some people use inhalers, some don't. His son Carter uses an inhaler, and his other son Tyler didn't. So that's how Vrabel answered that question. So we still have no idea if Treylon Burks deals with asthma, had bad allergies, but he did say that his conditioning kind of differs a little bit every now and then, which kind of confirms what Albert Breer was telling us in the Monday Morning Quarterback that we talked about some yesterday of him being, his weight fluctuating, him struggling to get through some private pre-draft workouts. But Zach, what was your takeaway from Burks answering those questions there?
Well, it's like they didn't allow Burks to speak after that first day of practice, and he's been going through media training for the last 2.5 weeks of them saying, hey, look, this is how you do not answer a question. One day at a time is your best friend. Just trying to concentrate on me is right there, right, needs to be in your holster. And he took the approach. Now, I will say, and I was not there, I was doing other things for the company, but I would have asked a different question, right? I mean, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to get out of Burks? Are you in shape? Do you feel like you are in shape, right? These are the type of, I think, questions that I felt like needed to be asked. Like, yes, the inhaler question that Kowarski asked, that was more like a follow-up question. But the problem is there wasn't an original question to follow up. Like, we need to ask about the mindset of his conditioning. Are you happy on where your conditioning is right now? Yes or no, right? I mean, if he says, yes, I am, then there's the follow-up question. I've been asking questions at press conferences for a decade. This is like literally easy peasy. Going into this, and plus the reporters, you got 3 weeks to do this. Now, I know there's only a certain amount of time, but that was my takeaway. I never heard a question that I truly wanted the answer to. Do you feel like you are in shape to play NFL football at this point in time? And then you follow up with the inhaler. Does the inhaler help you? You were noticed there. I think the inhaler question is a good question. I just didn't think it was placed properly.
Well, and
it gave Burks the ability to dance around, which he did.
Sure. And I'll say this. I was actually talking to Malik Willis when Burks began. And so I missed out on having an opportunity to get in a position where I was able to ask a question. I was filming with my hand above my head, on the back. And there was, I think probably 25 media members around Treylon Burks at that point. And Joe Rexrow did follow up towards the end of the 4 minutes or so that Burks was talking and re-asked the question about the inhaler to see if he would answer it a different way, because that's part of a media tactic too, is ask the same question a few minutes later to see if he answers it any way different, because he might have been following a script. And, Burks stuck to it. He's basically said the same thing. I'm going to keep it in-house, and you guys can ask Vrabel about that.
Right. Well, here, let me interject real quick. The inhaler is a medical device, okay? So he can sit there and say, I'm not speaking about my HIPAA, bro. He can sit here and speak that I am not going to talk about a medical device that I may or may not use. That is completely fair. It was an out that he took. He should have taken it, right? But the real concern to me is not about the damn inhaler. It's why was your ass leaving practice day one? Did you like how you came into practice? Could you have done something differently within your conditioning heading into these minicamp and OTA practices with your new team? These type of things. The inhaler is the most easiest out, is I'm not going to talk about my medical condition, right? That's the easiest thing.
But also and I think, okay, let's ask the question. Let's ask our question to all of you guys, right? What's one word to describe how Treylon Burks handled those questions about his conditioning yesterday?
And let's watch it one more time to refresh.
Yeah, we will. Well, what's one word that you guys can use to describe how Treylon Burks handled these questions yesterday? Here it is again.
Say, every player, they come into situations differently, and I just going to attack it every day like I have been, and just keep going with the flow.
Has it been kind of like a ramp-up process as far as starting from day one to now?
No, sir. I'm just taking it one day at a time, like Coach Vrabel tells me, and everything else will take care of itself.
Has your conditioning level kind of been where you thought it would be, or where you want it to be?
It differs every now and then, but I'm just taking it one day at a time, and just playing ball.
You had an inhaler out here the first day. Is that an allergy thing? You have asthma?
Well, I'll just keep that in-house, and, just y'all can ask Coach Vrabel about that.
So there's Treylon Burks Wednesday after Titans OTAs, video courtesy of the Tennessee Titans there. So
that's the smartest thing that guy has said. Ask Vrabel.
Well,
man, if I was a player and I could just say ask Vrabel, I mean, that's great. Because we already know what Vrabel's going to do, and Vrabel did what Vrabel does. Then he came up with a clever answer. He interjected his sons within the answer, and you didn't get anything.
So Zach, I'll send you to the comment section. What are the people saying? What's the chat?
Well, you're gonna have to ask Vrabel what the people are saying.
Now Vrabel did say because who was it? Who asked him about? Somebody asked him about Albert Breer yesterday. I'm blanking of who asked the question yesterday, but he said you can after he answered about Treylon Burks' weight, he goes, you can go tell Albert that, which was pretty funny. But
it was smart because I saw that Vrabel was asking who said that, right? He was intrigued with where would this report come from, right?
Yeah.
And what if he would have said Joe Schmo, right? Like Albert Breer is a respected NFL reporter, and
sure,
it's a recognizable name. So once he heard Albert Breer, he didn't say anything after that. He waited until he answered and then gave the little pot shot to say, go tell Albert, what the answer was, which
was funny. So Zach, I'll send you to the comments to see what people had to say about that.
So the question is, what's one word to describe how Treylon Burks handled questioning about his conditioning yesterday? Coach from Strike. So look, we're starting out with something I said a little bit earlier. Lightly polite from Donnie D. Nosgood, Vrabel, which is a good. Belichick from John. These are some good words already. Safe from Ryan. Appropriate from Jose Raul 20. Vrabeled from Titans Kyle. Professional from John. Fresh meat from Stephen King, the author of many books, leather-bound books. Mature from Tighten Up. Complying from Jacob. Diplomatic from Billy Jones. Scripted from Scott Weaver. Guarded from Kenneth. Reserved from Nick. Calculated from Jonathan. Man, I mean, we've got some. All these words are different, and all of these words are very, very good. Ty says typical, simple from Van. Vrabel-esque from Orlando, all one word. Let's see here. We got a couple scripted. Titan Light from Dodson. Witness from Titan Fox. Smoke and mirrors. He has kind of combined two words. Ken right there with the and symbol. And then scripted. A lot of scripteds here. Paul Thame says pivot, which is pretty uniform. So
uniformed is a good one. And to be honest, I was going to say scripted is what I was going to go with, because I truly think the you can ask Vrabel about that was scripted. I actually think Vrabel told him, hey, turn it on me. If there's a question you don't want to answer, tell him to ask me, because I'll BS my way around it like I always do, and it's not going to be a problem on you. I think it's
that's what the head coach should do.
Exactly.
With anybody,
it's a good head coach at Vrabel. Yeah.
Anybody in the company gets a question that needs to be answered, I always said, well, send them to me.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it. And Vrabel, this is the smart thing to do. Yeah. Vrabel, and he had time to coach. This is the coach of what the chat was saying.
2 weeks, over 2 weeks.
Coaches. He coaches a lot of different things.
Well, let's think about this. Because I mentioned this yesterday, because Buck and I were talking about this off air at some point. I'm sure Buck's talked about this too on air. Is that rookie mini camp started on a Friday? That was Friday, May 13th, right? Treylon Burks, that's when the inhaler, the out of breath, the terrible first impression happened on Friday the 13th, right? Then Saturday the 14th, Treylon Burks was originally scheduled to talk after that second practice. He did not. At some point during the beginning of practice and the end of practice, there was a decision made to not let him speak. Then last Tuesday, the first veteran rookie combo OTA, Burks was in and out of the locker room, and so he was not available to players coming off the field. Yesterday was the first time he finished a practice with the veterans where we were able to talk to players coming off the field And so that's why he was basically bombarded by 24 media members to answer questions for 4 minutes. So that's over 2 weeks of preparation for Mike Vrabel and the other media relations team to prep Treylon Burks on how to handle those questions. And so they bought themselves time. I don't know if they bought themselves time and hoped it was last Tuesday, but he had more issues to deal with and it built more steam for a week. But it happened, and I think they did a good job coaching their first-round pickup in that circumstance.
So that's why I and it's easy for me to sit here afterwards and diagnose the questions that were asked because I've been in those scrums, and so I do know how they work. They don't always work how they want. I wanted to ask a question to Tom Brady when he came in practice with the New England Patriots, but I got close to him. I didn't get a chance to answer the question or ask the question because Tom Brady left. He shut it down, right? I mean, I think Corey Curtis was the only Titans reporter that got an opportunity to ask a question. I did ask a question to Bill Belichick. It got demolished about Marcus Mariota. I will always remember that for the rest of my life of how, and I thought about that question for hours, and I stated it exactly how I wanted to state it, and Bill Belichick put me in a blender and spit me out. So sometimes you can't do what, it is what it is. But I really wanted the reporters to concentrate on the conditioning first, and the asthma or the inhaler is a follow-up. Does that help you? It's a positive thing, not a negative thing. But Korsky asked it as a negative connotation. He had because that's what it actually looks like, that it is helping you for your bigger problem of you not being in shape. But think a little bit, right? So if you sit there and ask about conditioning and then ask about the asthma inhaler or the inhaler to say, does this help you, or how does that improve your conditioning, or whatever the word or question is, maybe he's a little bit more apt to answer it instead of saying, well, go talk to my daddy, right? Talk to Vrabel. Vrabel will tell you everything that you need to know. Yeah.
See, the thing is that over the course of 3 weeks, the inhaler question has been asked of Vrabel probably 3 times. And a couple times been from Paul, a couple times been from John Glennon. And Vrabel had the answer of I'm not going to address anybody's allergies to pollen because everybody's struggling with them right now and all this stuff, right? So the inhaler question has been snowballing on its own for the last 3 weeks of the buildup. So it is important to know that. But Treylon Burks is the first time he's been asked. And so a lot of people, Zach, are asking to know what you asked Bill Belichick that he basically squished you like a bug with.
So I will get to that first. What is your word?
Scripted. Scripted's my word. I mentioned that earlier. People scripted. I think Burks stuck to it. And he didn't waver. He came back to it when Rexrode followed up about the inhaler at the end. And he stayed with, you can ask Vrabel about that.
So the first thing that came to mind when I saw this was, man, that's skirt steak. Skirt is my word. He skirted around the questions that were asked. And again, properly, understandably so. The inhaler thing, he should have skirted around that because he can. It's a medical device. I'm not telling you a damn thing about my medical problems if I don't have to, right? And again, it's the way it was asked. I think that I disagree with the approach. Have it as a positive spin, not as a, hey, because anybody is going to get defensive or not answer your question if you're like, why do you need a inhaler, bro? Huh? You tired? I mean, that's kind of how it came off, instead of, does an inhaler help your conditioning or help your breathing, I think, in a time of need? Because we saw that in week 1.
Well, of course, because that's kind of rhetorical, because that's what an inhaler is invented for, is to open up the airwaves and to help somebody breathe better. That's the
well, there's the follow-up. How long have you been using it? How long has it been helping you?
I don't have an issue with how the inhaler question was asked like you do. But
no, it was negatively. It was. Go listen to it. Listen to the question of how it was asked.
I'd say, every player, they come into situations differently, and you know, I just, you know, going to attack it every day like I have been, and just keep going with the flow.
Has it been kind of like a ramp-up process as far as like starting from day one to now?
No, sir. You know, I'm just taking it one day at a time, like Coach Rabel tells me, and you know, everything else will take care of itself.
Has the conditioning level kind of been where you thought it would be, or where you want it to be?
You know, it differs every now and then, but you know, I'm just taking it one day at a time, and you know, just playing ball.
You had an inhaler out here the first day. Is that an allergy thing? You have asthma?
Well, I'll just keep that in-house, and you know, just y'all can ask Coach Rabel about that.
I don't think there was a
Not an
negative
allergy
connotation.
thing. You got asthma.
I think that was
Nobody who asked that, right? Austin, if you're sitting there, you sound like death, and you're, and I'm like, what is that an allergy thing? What, you got asthma? What's going on?
That's not the tone
right
that
way
was
to
delivered with.
approach things that I want to get from you.
I don't have a problem with it. I think the best question was Terry McCormick asking, is your conditioning where you thought it would be or where you want it to be? And the most important answer on this that we haven't spent much time is it differs from time to time, which that's how conditioning works. When you stop conditioning, you lose it. Everybody knows this. You can be in great shape. You take a week off and go to the beach. Next time you try to run, your ass is dead. And so for me, it differs from time to time is something that I should remember and say, well, I hope in week 8, that conditioning is not differing from time to time. I hope it stays straight like it's supposed to be, because that's the most important part of this 43 seconds we've heard from Treylon Burks the last 3 times.
Well, so before we move on to the rookies, I will say what I asked Belichick in the press conference. So that was that was a big day in A to Z sports history, because Austin got the video of Tom Brady cussing at Mike Vrabel that has probably accrued close to 10 million views over the last several years.
Yeah.
On the internet. So that's been a big video for us. But while that was happening, I was at the press conference for Bill Belichick getting ready to go practice against the Titans. And this is when Marcus Mariota was the quarterback. And so my idea, I wanted to ask a question. I truly wanted to know the answer of, because when you have two teams that are different and they're practicing against each other, I wanted to know Marcus Mariota, what made him unique was his athletic ability, right? He's not a pocket passer. So I asked Bill Belichick, and don't quote me verbatim, but to the effect of, what is the advantage defensively of practicing against a guy like Marcus Mariota with his athletic ability? And I didn't know what he was going to answer, but he sat there dead in my eye and goes, I mean, we know that Marcus can run, and he can run around and make plays. Next question. It was just like, man, that was all right. Well, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill. And it was just the exact question or answer that I expected, but the exact answer that I hoped I didn't get.
And you did nothing wrong.
I asked the question again, and I was taught by Larry Stone, who Titans fans should know who Larry Stone is. He used to be the executive producer of Titans Radio. When I did an internship with Titans Radio, Larry Stone taught me how to ask questions, how to ask player questions. And what they do in the internship program, and this may be interesting to some, may not to others, but when I was going through it, there is a way to get an answer. This is why I'm probably better at sales than most, is because I ask very poignant questions to try to get the answer, so then I can take that information and do what I want with it. With asking player questions, how they train you for Titans Radio, or at least how they used to, is you ask questions to low-level players, right? You don't ask them to Vince Young, Keith Bullock, Lindell White, and Chris Johnson.
Squad guys, yeah.
I worked up to that. So you got to do a ton of research, and you got to be really poignant in what you're asking. And so I always think about what I'm going to ask and try to prevent what we just heard from Treylon Burks not come across demeaning or mean. You got asthma, bro?
That's not how that happens.
You got allergies.
Like, I think you're the only person.
I don't come across as that. It is poignant and try to how to structure your question. I did that exactly how I wanted to do with Bill Belichick, and Bill gave me Bill type answers.
Absolutely nothing. I don't know if you've got something going on with your ears that you're hearing a different tone from Paul Kaharski than anybody else, but I don't think anybody was hearing
Maybe
that tone.
you don't think that if anybody approached me, it was a very important question because it's negative, right? When you have an inhaler, it's negative. It was not a positive. Inhalers are not superchargers, right? They're not a badge.
There's no
that say,
positive
wow,
or negative to
awesome.
having it. Like him saying that you had an inhaler, that's fact. It's not.
Yes, it is fact, but the connotation of societal views of inhaler is that you must have a weakness that the inhaler helps you with. Correct or incorrect?
There's a condition that you would need the inhaler with.
Correct. That helps and strengthens your particular condition that weakens something. Okay. That's the point. That is the point.
I just feel like the question was asked with curiosity. That Jabu said, he was like, "Hey, you have asthma? Is this allergies?" It was more of a, I'm just trying to ask to know. Like it wasn't like a, it's fine. I just want to know. Like, not a big deal. Like I think you were taking this too far.
No. It wasn't a casual question, Austin.
It was.
We were trying to get as the media and everybody else on why Treylon Burks was out of shape. If he needs the inhaler because he was diagnosed with asthma at age 13 and a half, that tells us the story, right? That's what you're trying to get. It's bigger. Think about it as not just a casual, hey, you're trying to find out why. And most of those questions to Burks about him leaving, I mean, first round pick leaves practice first day. That's not a great look. Why was that? And it's taken weeks for us to get the opportunity to ask those type of questions.
All right, so Will Dodson says, "Let's talk about Kyle Phillips." Well, let's talk about Kyle Phillips. I've got a observation from Kyle Phillips yesterday in Titans OTAs, and we'll get to the one Titans rookie who looks to be separating himself from the rest of the draft class. Is it Kyle Phillips? I don't know. All right, but Zach, first tell us all about our great sponsor, Farm Bureau Health Plans.
FBHP.com/A to Z is where to go. Better coverage, better rates, better service. 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. I switched earlier this year. Farm Bureau Health Plans has already helped me in a couple of ways. I got the flu last week. I teledocked. And the teledoc with 103-degree fever is not fun, but it did give me the prescriptions that I needed to get back to who I am today in early June. Late May was rough. I mean, it got me. The flu got me, but I had a free teledoc conference. And the best part is I set it up. So if I ever get sick again, I have that feature. It is very, very easy. They texted me. I went into the waiting room and all of a sudden, boom. And I even knew how long it was going to be. It was about 30 minutes to an hour to wait for the doctor. The doctor became available. I got a text. I jumped on. I told him my symptoms, and I got medicine because of it that helped me. That was due to Farm Bureau Health Plans. So thank you, Farm Bureau Health Plans. You can change today, FBHP.com/A to Z.
Don't forget, it's a big night. NBA Finals, Game 1. You can download the BetMGM app today. Use our code ATOZ200, and all you got to do is place a $10 moneyline wager on either team tonight in the NBA Finals, Game 1, and you will win $200 in free bets when either team hits a three-point shot. It's going to happen very early in that game, so you're going to win $200 tonight just by becoming a new user with our code ATOZ200. We've also, Zach, got a special A to Z Sports Pick show today at 2 p.m. Central Time on the same A to Z Sports Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch platforms where you guys can get ready. Alan Bell, Brian Edwards will have their picks ready for you guys at 2 o'clock Central Time. But to make sure you download the BetMGM app, use our code ATOZ200, and you place a $10 moneyline wager on any team tonight and you get $200 when either team hits a 3-point shot. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issue if knowledgeable. Free bets for site credit. Free bets expire in 7 days. For problem gaming support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789.
I want to clear something up before we get to our next segment.
Yeah.
Jay Street says, Zach, it's no different when players have a long run on the sidelines, and hopefully we put the inhaler to bed after this, because Vrabel said what he had to say. But Jay says it's like a long run and then going to the sidelines to the respirator. I think you mean the oxygen tank. Did you ever question their conditioning? Jay, there's a huge difference between getting oxygen and an inhaler that has medicine within it. So that is apples and oranges. We're trying to figure out why one needs an inhaler. And that was not disclosed. That's okay. They don't have to disclose whether it's Vrabel or Burks. But that's why what we were trying to figure out. Why do you need a inhaler? Do you have a condition? Was it just to help you? Are you prescribed? I mean, these are all things that we're curious about, but it is much different than sucking in oxygen on the sideline. I wanted to clarify that.
All right, so one Titans rookie that looks to be separating himself from the rest of the Titans draft class. Well, Treylon Burks is the other one who's made headlines for the wrong reasons. But I think Roger McCreary is showing me that he was going to be a significant player for the Titans this year. Cornerback out of Auburn, second-round pick, 35 overall. Really, really like what I've seen from Roger McCreary and how they are using him. So, and you know this, Zach, again, it's June 2nd. It's early. There's a lot of time left, but I do like what I've seen from McCreary so far. But you know in these practices, at times they'll split up. They'll take the first group of offense, right? Then they'll take the second/third group of offense, and they'll split them up, and they'll be at midfield. They'll both be working 40-yard line in, right? And so they had Tannehill and his offensive lineman, wide receiver, tight end, running backs. Then Malik Willis and his group of offensive linemen, wide receivers, running backs. And the same thing with the defense. The first team defense was with Tannehill. The second, third team defense was with Malik Willis on opposite ends of the field. Well, Burks was watching mostly, doing reps here and there on the first team offense. McCreary was one of the few defensive backs rotating in with that side of the roster. Then you look at the other rookie draft class guys. They were over there towards Malik Willis' side, including Malik Willis, obviously. But you had Nicholas Petit-Frere working on the Malik Willis side. You had Kyle Phillips, Hassan Haskins, Chig, Theo Jackson and Chance Campbell. All those guys working on the Malik Willis side of the practice. But Roger McCreary was doing legitimate stuff with the defense. And I really like where he's at already and like what they're doing with him, because right now, Caleb Farley and Christian Fulton are both limited with injuries. Farley's got the ACL we know of, and Christian Fulton had off-season surgery that he posted on his Instagram. So they're doing lower contact things, but whenever they have more contact, they're taking those guys out or putting them in yellow pennies. But Roger McCreary looks to be separating himself and carving out a role a lot sooner than a lot of the other draft picks.
Well, you talk about opportunity, right?
Yeah.
He's gotten the opportunity, and what can you do to take advantage of it? He's young, he's fully healthy, and he's ready to practice, right? We would have said the same thing if the Burks fiasco hasn't happened at the beginning, and Burks will be okay. This is so early on in Burks' career. It's not a great look to start, but it doesn't mean that he will be a bad player or can't be a 1,000-yard receiver or can't be the focal point of this football team moving forward. That doesn't, it's June, right? But McCreary and the ability to get reps with guys like Farley and Fulton, because they can't go as often, I think that's huge. And what do we know about corners? In today's football, you throw, right? You pass. It's a passing league. You have to have multiple corners. You're going to get that opportunity because, I mean, what happened last year? Both of those guys, missed some sort of time. Fulton missed time in some regard, and we all know Farley missed time.
Yeah.
So, I look at that and I say, that's a good thing. This is a very good thing that McCreary, and that's why they traded back. They didn't have a second round pick, right? At the beginning of the draft.
Right.
They traded back to get him, essentially. That's who they ended up getting. And if he can come in here and help this defense, because you have the green mile midway through your season where you face a lot of really good passing quarterbacks, you're going to need that depth.
Yeah, and so you look at the defensive backs as a whole. Let's focus on the corners and just the youth movement around these guys, right? Like Christian Fulton's going into year 3. He's like the oldest guy they've got when it comes to NFL experience, because Caleb Farley's a second-year player. Chris Jackson's also going into year 3. Elijah Molden going into year 2. And then you got Roger McCreary, who's a rookie. So I think it's pretty interesting to see how they've been going about replenishing their cornerbacks and getting younger, getting more explosive and more athletic. If you remember, whenever they decided to move on from Logan Ryan a few offseasons ago, after his contract ran out, after the AFC title game, the quote that stood out to me is that Vrabel said, the slot corner position is becoming a more vertical position, right? Because it used to be your nickel corner was playing the flats, playing the run, playing that curl angle in that area. Well, when we saw Chiefs wide receivers going straight down the field past Titans DBs in the AFC title game that winter, it got a lot more vertical real quick. And so what the Titans have done ever since then is get more guys who have that speed to go vertical and they can cover deep. And that's where Farley, Fulton, Molden's a little bit more older school. I don't know if he's as vertical as McCreary is, but then you got McCreary there too.
Yeah, and that's how the game has evolved. That the down the middle can be deadly, right? Because you're looking for matchups. You're trying to get a faster guy on a linebacker. Let's just be honest, right? That's what the philosophy shows offensively on getting tight ends in space down the seam. We saw Nick Westbrook-Akina do that last year, right? That was kind of his money maker for a couple of times during the year, is he got in space and got down the seam. That is offensive minds are just trying to find the next spot, right? The next hole in the defense to exploit. And defenses, just like, offenses are trying to exploit defenses, it goes both ways. I really, the defense overall gets, I think, overlooked now that the dust is cleared and all those guys aren't practicing, right? Like Dupree and Landry and Simmons. But come training camp, I think we're going to look around and you're going to be like, damn, this defense has the opportunity to really be very, very good and help Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned all the guys who have not been practicing for the Titans defense, and Ethan Ramsey brings up another one, Buster Skrine. Buster Skrine got brought back as a free agent. Remember, he was an ad mid-season that the Titans relied on when all those injuries happened. Buster Skrine played good football for the Titans in the back half of last year after coming off the couch, enough to where they brought him back on a 1-year deal. He's not there right now. The guy's been around the league for, 15 years, but I'm joking, but he's a veteran who knows what to do. But right now, there's a lot of young guys who are very talented getting reps because Buster Skrine's not there. A couple of people have brought up Greg Mabin. I see Scoop bringing up Greg Mabin and also Roy asking about Greg Mabin. Yeah, he's out there. And Greg Mabin, who has been that break glass in case of emergency type corner for the Titans the last couple of years, he made a couple nice plays yesterday on the football and has been around some traffic there too. So I think the Titans' depth at corner is something you can be very excited about because injuries are going to happen. It always happens that way. And they've got legitimate depth with experience outside of McCreary at that corner position. And you can always need more corners.
Young experience, right? Like,
yeah,
there's a difference between, old hat experience that they just can't move the way that they did. They've got young experience. Now, this is bigger picture.
Minus Farley. Farley and McCreary, the two more inexperienced guys that they have. Yeah.
Right. But first round pick inexperience should be overshadow, or what should overshadow that is ability, right? And that's what Caleb Farley they're betting on. Yeah. Last thing before we move on to the Magic Bucket.
I got one more thing too, but go ahead.
And this is bigger picture. The Titans, because of their quarterback situation, this is what their identity has tried to be over the last couple of years. And I think they've achieved this. Now, they haven't gotten into the playoffs and gotten to the Super Bowl because of it, but they're a team in December and now January that you look at and you don't want to play. And don't want to play not because, it's Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. You don't want to play them is because they play sound football with really good defense, a solid running game. And then this is up to Todd Downing. And we will talk about Todd Downing tomorrow. Tomorrow is Todd Downing Day. Mm-hmm. So make sure you tune in on a Friday. We'll do Titans Thursday, but we got on a Friday, Todd Downing Day. How do you eliminate some of the things that didn't scare opposing teams going into games, right? And I think they've got those, but that's how Vrabel and John Robinson has made up this team. And I think more than ever this year, they don't have the quarterback that will scare you, but damn, they got the defense and the running back. And I think the mentality and mindset and physicalness to kind of portray what they want to do.
Yeah, and so I've talked about how Roger McCreary seems to be separating himself from the rest of the draft class. I still like the draft class. I still think they've got some really good players in the later rounds, especially, and then planning Malik Willis for the future. So I still like the draft class. And a couple guys that I wanted to follow up on, because I mentioned Kyle Phillips, I had a note on him. Yesterday in practice was in a route. I think it was 7-on-7. And, a bottom roster corner made a play on the football, broke it up. And in breaking up the pass, landed on Phillips' shoulder, and it looked like Phillips was holding his right shoulder, walked off, was working with trainers, and you're like, oh, God, that's not good. And then all of a sudden, a few minutes later, was back in there, and his first rep back in, caught a pass. So Kyle Phillips showing some toughness there and basically being okay when it came to that injury. And then Theo Jackson, I mentioned this yesterday, that what happens with Theo Jackson if Kevin Byard's back? Well, Theo Jackson went from the top end of that practice, and then he moved to the secondary Malik Willis side of the practice because Kevin Byard is in there. And so that's kind of where Theo Jackson's at right now, but still showing a good, good progress on his rookie camp as well.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, time for the Magic Bucket. But first, Zach, tell us all about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai. We will be there live tomorrow. Look at that inventory. You got cars that you can put yourself in, and those cars are fuel efficient, and they are Hyundais. I own a Hyundai. I love my Hyundai. Hyundai Sonata, right there. The Palisade. Both Austin and I have test driven the Palisade. Third row seating, full size SUV. They also have. You can order the Ioniq. The Ioniq is battery powered. It does not use fuel, so you don't have to worry about getting raked at the gas station for fuel. It doesn't need it. Ioniq, they can order those today. Your perfect make and model is at Wilson County Hyundai. You just have to find it. WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Download the BetMGM app. Don't forget today, 2:00 Central Time, Alan Bell, Brian Edwards getting you ready for the NBA Finals, and you can win big with the NBA Finals tonight. If you're a new user, jump on this. Code ATOZ200. That's ATOZ200. And you place a $10 moneyline wager tonight on either NBA final team. And then you will win $200 when a single 3-point shot is made in the game. It doesn't matter from who or what team, but you win $200 just like that when you download the BetMGM app and sign up with our code ATOZ200 with the BetMGM app. It is that time for the Magic Bucket. All right, Zach, at the bucket right here. I believe it is your sticker week, as I did the sticker 2 weeks ago. And then Jack and I skipped the Magic Bucket last week because we had to make up our Tuesday sports trivia because of Zach having the flu on last Tuesday. So ready when you are for your sticker.
So today I show respect. You know, we're coming off of Memorial Day weekend. A special honor or respect shown publicly is to pay homage right there. And so I did order a t-shirt and get this sticker. So, but it also makes a lot of sense. You know, again, it's how you sell it. But in all seriousness,
what t-shirt did you get?
It was a throwback Tampa Bay Buccaneers t-shirt.
Shocker. Yeah.
It looks good. You got those
I'm
throwbacks.
Sure.
Bucko Bruce right there. But to pay homage right there, we can slap that thing right there on the bucket.
All right. So Magic Bucket, again, have you printed out your list yet?
Do you know the answer to that?
No. All right.
What kind of question was that?
So this one's for me. I haven't had this in a while, but it's the name blank, as many blank as I can in 15 seconds. I have not had this in a while, so I feel like this is okay.
Let's see here. Yeah, we're getting down slim.
There's not many in here for me to pick from that are just available.
Do you have 10 new ones?
I will buy next Thursday.
All right. I'll be out of town, but I have mine. Mine are ready. All right. 15 seconds. Let's see here. Let's set you up for some success, but also to make it difficult. Name in 15 seconds as many candy bars as you can. Name in 15 seconds as many candy bars as you can. Go.
Snickers, Twix, Milky Way, Three Musketeers, Butterfinger, Payday, Take 5, Reese's Cups,
8. Man, you could have definitely gotten more than 8. Your brain shut off.
I mean, I got through like the big ones.
Yeah, I'm with Big Ten Jeff. Oof.
Scott says Hershey, whatchamacallit, Crunch, Almond Joy, Mounds,
Mr. Good Bar,
$100,000. Oh yeah.
You didn't even go to Skittles, Sour Patch Kids.
Those aren't candy bars. Those are candy bars, dude.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
and here's the problem. When I go on road trips, I'm not a candy bar person. I am a gummy bear, Skittles, Jolly Rancher. I go the sweet. I don't go candy bar. I go the individual like chews and stuff. That's why I struggle with that one. Because I never go to that section. I go straight for the gummy bears.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get candy bars either. I go for the hot and spicy Cheez-Its. There's nothing better on a road trip than hot and spicy Cheez-Its.
They make your fingers all nasty, though.
No, that's the best part about Cheez-Its. They're not Cheetos. We're not talking about Flaming Hot Cheetos. They just make them salty that you can, you wipe them on your shorts and you move on. You're right.
No, but that's the thing. Orlando is right. Harbor gummy bears, all-time classic. That's what I go with because
I've never bought gummy bears.
What? You've never bought gummy bears?
No, my grandmother used to have them, but I never bought them. Like
I go through the big bag every trip. Like there, one bag, back another bag. Like that is I can't stop. Because I just sit them in the when I'm driving, I sit them in the door pocket and I just go. And there's no residue on the fingers.
Yeah. Well, I already know the answer to this, but what popped in my mind, I was going to make a joke of, do you get the jalapeno cheese hot dog at gas stations? But I know the answer is no.
No.
Because that is like, I've never gotten that either, but it sounds terrible.
Have you worn a toboggan?
trying to think.
I don't know if you have. I don't think you have. But you can tomorrow.
I can tomorrow. Let's see if I can find that. I'll have to go searching for some toboggans. I have some because I ski, but that's another thing I do. It's skiing that I get criticized for. So this is a new age thing. Back in the day, you ski, you didn't have helmets, right? Like, no, and you don't put on helmets, but snowboarders in the emergence, everybody wears helmets. I don't wear helmets when I ski. And everybody's like, you're an idiot. You're going to die like Sonny and Cher. But I have because I value a really good toboggan, a comfortable, warm toboggan. So I will feature that on the show.
A warm toboggan.
A warm toboggan in the hot summer heat.
Yeah, because we're going to be outside tomorrow. So
I'd like to do that Monday.
Nope.
Can't do
it
that
says
Monday.
Wear a toboggan on tomorrow's show.
Yeah, and I'll make it happen.
All right, there you go. Well, great Thursday show. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Like Zach will be wearing a toboggan outside in the heat at Wilson County Hyundai, so that should be fun. But we're also talking Todd Downing tomorrow and anything else that pops up. The Titans also have $9.5 million from Julio Jones today in the bank account on the salary cap. So that's a good thing for the Titans. What will they do with it? We'll have more of that content throughout the day on A2ZSports.com. I know Buck Rising is working on that column as we speak.
Ethan did catch me because I did say the death of Sonny and Cher. Cher did not die, but Sonny did die in a skiing accident.
But it was the death of Sonny and Cher.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. See, there you go. Way you spin it. So yes, that did
there could no longer be a Sonny and Cher without Sonny. So it was the death of Sonny and Cher.
That did end that union. Yes.
Yes, exactly. All right, guys. We'll see you on a Friday. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Buck Rising live tonight, A to Z Sports Primetime at 8, and then A2ZSports.com for wherever you go. Also, we've got A to Z Sports Picks coming up at 2 p.m. Central Time for the NBA game tonight, presented by BetMGM. We'll see you guys later on. Have a good one. Thanks.